Hello everyone, my name is Anna White, and I'm 35 years old. I live in a small coastal town in California with my husband, James, and our 8-year-old daughter, Sophie. At first glance, our family might seem peaceful and happy, but the truth is, we're not. I have a big worry in my daily life, and the source of my worry is my mother-in-law, Eleanor. Eleanor lives about a 15-minute drive from our house and visits us 3 or 4 times a week. Initially, I thought she was coming to see her granddaughter, Sophie, but that wasn't the case. Eleanor's real purpose was to criticize and belittle me. Eleanor is a perfectionist, especially when it comes to housework. She doesn't tolerate any compromise. Every time she visits, she inspects the entire house in detail, and if she finds even a speck of dust, she severely scolds me. "Anna, you're the housewife here. Why isn't the cleaning up to par? Look at this, dust on top of the shelves." This is going to be a bad influence on Sophie, Eleanor would say. Her words always deeply hurt me. I try my best every day to balance work and housework, but it seems like Eleanor doesn't see that at all. What's especially painful is when she criticizes me in front of Sophie. "Sophie, your mother can't clean properly. It's a shame you have to grow up in such a dirty house. The dirt in a room reflects the dirt in one's heart. Your mother's heart must be very dirty." Every time I hear words like these, I feel so sorry for Sophie. At the same time, I think about talking to my husband, James, but I can't quite bring myself to do it. One day, I finally mustered the courage to talk to him. "Hey, about your mother. Can you ask her to stop coming every day and bullying me?" James' response was unexpected. "What are you talking about? Mom is coming for your sake. She's teaching you how to clean. Shouldn't you be grateful?" I was shocked. My husband didn't see any problem with his mother's behavior at all. In fact, he said I should be thankful. "But I clean hard every day. Your mother is just looking for dust on purpose." I protested. "If there's dust, doesn't that mean your cleaning is insufficient?" James retorted. I couldn't argue anymore. My husband was completely on his mother's side. As days like this continued, I gradually lost confidence. I started to feel like nothing was going right, whether it was housework or my job, and I began to feel like I was a worthless person. The only comfort was my daughter, Sophie. She seemed to understand how I felt, and sometimes said things like, "Mom, don't mind what Grandma says. You always clean nicely. Your heart is clean. What Grandma says is wrong." Sophie's words were a great comfort to me, but it pained me that such a young child had to worry about me. Eleanor's bullying continued, and I kept losing confidence day by day. Sophie's kindness was my only support, but even that didn't change the situation. One Saturday afternoon, Sophie and I went shopping at the local supermarket. It was rare not to have a visit from Eleanor that day, and I felt a bit relieved. Sophie also seemed more cheerful than usual, which lightened my heart. After finishing our shopping, we walked home along the seaside promenade. The gentle California sea breeze caressed our hair, and in the distance, the waves shimmered in the setting sun. It was a scene that usually calmed me, but something felt off that day. Sophie was unusually quiet. Normally, she would frolic by the sea or pick up seashells, but today, she was just walking silently. "Sophie, are you okay?" I asked. She nodded slightly, but something felt wrong. As we approached a slightly elevated rocky area on the promenade, Sophie suddenly stopped. "Mom, I'm sorry," she whispered. Before I could respond, she pushed me hard. I lost my balance and fell from the rocky area into the sea. Before I could scream, the cold seawater engulfed me. My mind went blank for a moment, unable to comprehend what had just happened. The salty taste of seawater filled my mouth, and I hurriedly surfaced, coughing violently. Desperately, I looked around and saw Sophie standing on top of the rocky area. She seemed to be crying, but I couldn't see clearly. "Sophie, help me!" I shouted, but Sophie didn't move from her spot. Panic was about to set in, but I somehow managed to regain my composure. Fortunately, the sea was relatively calm, and I could swim. I started swimming desperately towards the shore, my clothes growing heavier by the second. My arms and legs were tiring, but I kept going. Why would Sophie do such a thing? The question echoed in my mind. Sophie was always such a kind child who protected me. I finally reached the shore, crawling onto the sandy beach, utterly exhausted. Breathing heavily, I looked back, but Sophie was no longer there. Sophie, I whispered her name, but there was no response. I stood up, soaking wet and shivering, feeling utterly confused. I had to get home. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and sadness. Why would Sophie push me? I hurried home, still dripping wet. When I opened the front door, the house was eerily silent. Sophie was nowhere to be seen. Sophie, Sophie, where are you? I called out, but there was no answer. Anxiety and confusion filled my heart as I began to take off my wet clothes with trembling hands. Just then, the phone rang. I hurriedly picked it up. "Mom, I'm sorry," a small voice came from the other end of the line. "Sophie, where are you? Why did you do that?" My voice was shaking, a mix of anger and worry. "Mom, listen." Sophie's voice was serious. "I wanted to save you." "Save me? How is pushing me into the sea saving me?" Sophie took a deep breath and explained, "Mom, I overheard Grandma's plan. She's trying to kill you." I gasped. "What are you saying?" "I heard Grandma talking on the phone. She's after your life insurance money," Sophie said. I was speechless. Eleanor, trying to kill me? It was unbelievable. But Sophie, why did you push me into the sea? We could have talked about this. Sophie's voice was small. "Mom, Grandma was planning to poison your dinner tomorrow. I thought if I just talked about it, you wouldn't believe me." I was shocked. She was right. Considering Eleanor's behavior, I might not have believed Sophie if she had simply told me. So I thought if I made it look like you had an accident, it would stop Grandma's plan. If you survived, she wouldn't be able to go through with it. Sophie's voice trembled. "Mom, I'm really sorry, but I wanted to protect you." As I listened to Sophie, a mix of emotions overwhelmed me: fear, sadness, and deep love for my daughter. "Sophie, I understand you were trying to help, but what you did was very dangerous. What if I had drowned?" "I know, I'm sorry, but I knew you were strong, Mom." Sophie's words brought tears to my eyes. "Sophie, where are you now?" "At a friend's house," she replied. "Come home right away. We'll figure out what to do together." After hanging up the phone, I sat in deep thought. Eleanor's plan, Sophie's actions, and what we should do next raced through my mind. One thing was certain: I had to protect Sophie and find a way out of this situation. When Sophie came home, we hugged for a long time. I could feel her small body trembling in my arms. "Sophie, I'm so sorry you had to carry such a heavy burden," I said, gently stroking her hair. Sophie looked up at me, tears in her eyes. "Mom, I should be the one apologizing. I put you in danger." I wiped her cheeks and took a deep breath. "Sophie, you were trying to protect me, and I'm touched by your courage and love. But from now on, let's find safer ways, okay?" Sophie nodded slightly, and in that moment, I felt her strength and growth. "Mom, what are we going to do now?" Sophie asked. I thought for a moment before answering. "First, we need to talk to Grandma, but before that, we need evidence." We stayed up late into the night, making plans. I was moved many times by Sophie's courage and wisdom. The next morning, we took action. With Sophie's help, we decided to record Eleanor's phone conversations. A few days later, when Eleanor came to our house, I greeted her with a calm exterior, though I was nervous inside. "Eleanor, let's talk." She looked puzzled but sat down in the living room. "I understand how you feel about me, but we can't continue like this," I began. Eleanor opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand to stop her. "Please listen. I'm your son's wife and Sophie's mother. We are family, but your actions are hurting us." Eleanor's face turned pale. "What are you saying? I'm just..." "Sophie overheard your phone conversation about targeting my life insurance money," I interrupted, playing the recording of her plan. Eleanor was speechless. Why would you do this? I asked, tears in my eyes. After a long silence, Eleanor broke down crying. I was just lonely. After James married you, I felt like I lost my place. I took her hand. Eleanor, you're an important part of our family, but actions that hurt us aren't acceptable. She looked up at me, eyes full of regret. I'm truly sorry. Can you forgive me? I forgive you, but from now on, let's try to respect and understand each other, I replied. From that day forward, we gradually started to repair our relationship. Eleanor began receiving psychological counseling, and I participated in family therapy. Sophie also slowly rebuilt her relationship with her grandmother. Eleanor was impressed by Sophie's courage and wisdom and deepened her bond with her granddaughter. A few months later, we went on a family picnic by the sea. Eleanor brought homemade sandwiches, and Sophie happily collected seashells. As I listened to the sound of the waves, I looked around at my family. We weren't perfect, but we were moving forward. Through this experience, I learned the importance of family bonds and understanding one another. Most of all, I felt deep gratitude for Sophie's love and courage. A year has passed since that picnic by the sea. Our family's bonds have continued to deepen. Eleanor now accompanies Sophie to her piano lessons once a week. Gone is her former strictness. Now, she gently applauds Sophie's performances, which warms my heart. My relationship with Eleanor has also changed. Every Sunday, we attend a cooking class together. At first, we were tense, but now we laugh and point out each other's mistakes. James has noticed the change in our family and has started actively making time for us. At our recent family meeting, we made plans for next month's vacation together. Sophie is brighter and more confident than before. Mom, I baked cookies with Grandma, she said happily, and I couldn't help but feel joy. Tonight, our whole family is gathered in the living room, watching a movie. The scent of popcorn made by Eleanor wafts through the room, and Sophie's laughter echoes. As I lean on Jane's shoulder, I suddenly realize this is what a real family is. Overcoming difficulties, understanding each other, and supporting one another, not perfect, but filled with love. Sophie holds my hand and asks, Mom, are you happy? I smile and answer, yes, I'm very happy. Being together with everyone in this moment, I feel truly happy from the bottom of my heart. There may still be challenges ahead, but with these strong family bonds, I know we can face anything.